Tell us where we're heading.
We're walking on the Broken Arrow Trail. Broken Arrow Trail has a lot of history to it because a lot of westerns were made in Sedona. The most famous western ever made here was Broken Arrow with Jimmy Stewart. John Wayne made westerns in Sedona, Judy Garland from The Wizard of Oz, even Elvis Presley made a western here. It was called Stay Away Joe. I think everybody stayed away, but I think you'll like this trail.
So it's like an hour and a half trail?
Yeah, it's got some really interesting features on it. One is a giant red rock monolith called Submarine Rock. That's like being out on Mars. I had been working in Kazakhstan for the World Bank, and at the end of my assignment there, I went to Nepal to spend a month just hiking. I had never been there before. And my mom sent me the Celestine Prophecy.
Oh, that's a great book.
It's a great book, it's a great story. It's actually about Peru, but it made me think about the mountains and how much I loved being there. It made me think about things happening for a reason and not by accident. And I also began to realize that I could choose for things to happen for a reason. In other words, sometimes I could pick the reason why things could happen. I could choose it in advance. Rather than letting life happen to me and try to figure it out, I could choose more of what I wanted. So I made the most powerful choice of my life up till that time, that I would only do work that I loved.
Yeah.
There was a lot of work I could do. There were a lot of jobs I was qualified for. But to do work I loved was a strange thing because I wasn't miserable with my work. I liked the work that I did. As a consultant, I was happy with it, but I knew that I wanted more. And it was hard to say exactly what the more was. So I made that choice standing by a mountain in Nepal. And within a year, I had moved here to Sedona, and I began guiding adventures around the world. My first one was to Nepal, actually. And this is one of the places we love to bring people to in Sedona, but it's about to get better. We're gonna go this way.
And so since then you love every single moment of it, don't you?
Well, you know, I know that if I, it's always exciting. It's rarely boring because there are always new places to visit. Even in Sedona, even though it looks like a small town, it's a big place. It's kind of a paradox. But when I first got here, I thought, oh, maybe there's 100 trails. Every time I do a trail, I'll have that many less trails. So once I've done 100 trails, no more trails. It's not the case. I've never run out of trails.
How many are there?
There are 103, but there's 1.5 million acres of national forest here. And so the trails change. There are new portions of the trail to do them in different seasons. So I've walked about 5,000 miles now. I still don't feel like I've found all the trails here yet.
So what are you searching for?
I'm always looking for a new trail.
That's the thing.
It's like a Christmas present when I find one. Look at this here.
So how do you go about it? You just walk?
I do. And it may sound mystical, but I feel like Sedona shares them like gifts.
Yeah, you speak with Sedona, don't you? She was a lady.
Yeah.
Tell us about Sedona.
To me, it's more of a feminine energy, but the real Sedona, the original person, was a woman named Sedona Schnebley. She moved here from Missouri with her family and her children, and we named the town for her. That was in 1902, when the town got its first post office. They tried to call it Schnebley Station, but that was too many letters. It wouldn't fit on a cancellation stamp. So they had to come up with something shorter, and they went with Sedona. I think it's a great name. It's funny that people think that it's a New Age name or a Latino name or maybe a Native American name. She was just a German-American settler. But I don't think this place would be the same if we called it Schnebley Station.
What a pretty name.
Great narrow trail here.
Oh, it's so great hiking, just opens up new doors just walking in nature like that. Look at those trees.
Yes, take a look behind you. You can see some beautiful red rocks.
Oh, wow.
And some nice formation.
Are you having fun, guys?
Yeah, it's awesome.
What do you like the most about this trail?
The next part.
The quietness, as the, and the contrast of the colors.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
the red and the greens, huh?
I love the green. It's like a celadon green. It's a China green.
The environment.
Beautiful.
Where we see
Yeah,
all-
you want to take your horse here, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
And there's nobody
Fun.
here. It's fun.
Yeah. Where is Mr. Sedona? Here he is. Look at that.
Mr. Sedona,
This is a famous trail.
yeah. Did we have any?
We're the only ones on it.
You have silex here. You know the rock silex. Do you have that?
I don't think so.
No. Huh?
Doesn't sound familiar.
The one our ancestors used to build some weapons with it in Europe.
We have some onyx, which is black, and we have chert. And below here, this stuff was used sometimes by native people. It's kind of hard. It's a little yellowy, so we call it chert. C-H-U-R-T.
Because this kind
This
of
you could
rock
hard.
look like you can do like a weapon with it. You know,
Yes,
if you
that's right.
sharp it. You know.
Make a point.
You know, because some people were living here before,
Yeah.
like probably Indians or
Yeah.
Native American. Or yeah, Native American.
The Sinawa people were
The
here
Si-
from about 650 AD to 1350 AD. The Sinawa people were here, and in fact, we have some new evidence that close to here, they have what we call archaeoastronomy. In other words, they made petroglyphs and markings on the walls to indicate the positions of the sun. One of the things they would do was to mark on the rocks, usually with a spiral petroglyph or a pictograph,
Yeah.
which is carved into the rock, to indicate the positions. And we know that they did that throughout this area. Beyond Sedona, we call this the Verde Valley. And this has been helpful because a lot of the rock art that we found around Sedona, we had no explanation for. Now we're pretty sure that the Sinawa left here in the middle of the 14th century and they moved to the north to join the Hopi and the Zuni peoples. And the Hopi and the Zuni have members of the Sun clan. And the Sun clan was in charge of watching the sun. Every night at sunset they would watch the position of sun, usually at sunrise as well, and they would mark it. And that would obviously teach people things they needed to know, particularly about animals, but mostly about planting, because they needed to know the right time to plant the corn.
Yeah.
So those things are still being found here. So even though Sedona has been a community since 1902, obviously people were here a long time before that. And what's exciting is we have probably not even found the best ruins, the most interesting petroglyphs now. We're still discovering more.
Have you discovered some?
I have seen some throughout Sedona, and what's a lot of fun, sometimes I'll find little ancient baby corn, a corn on the cob that's as big as your finger, not like our jumbo corn today. Because of the dryness in the area, things are preserved well here. And typically in formations like this, the Sinawa would build ruins in the caves, cave walls, that they would live in, usually a small family, 4, 6, 8 people, maybe 2 families together. And those are throughout this area. What's mysterious about them is that they're made of the same color rock as the stone around them, so often they're right in front of us and we can't see them. Now we're going to get a picture, a dose of that color of rock in about 5 minutes. In fact, here it comes now up on the left.
Woohoo!
This is submarine rock and we'll have it all to ourselves.
Yellow
Yeah.
submarine. You ready to sing, Natalie? Na, na, na.
words?
In the yellow submarine.
Yellow submarine.
Well, this one is a red one.
Mais ça rime pas.
Ça rime pas.
Red submarine.
I'm sharing this experience. This is awesome.
This is juicy living.
This
Having
is
this right in your backyard.
This is it. So what is living a juicy life for you?
No, it's always changing, but I think it has some basic elements. One, for me, maybe the most important one is there has to be adventure.
Yeah.
If I have to do all this growth to become awakened or enlightened, and then life is just boring every day, what good is it? And the second thing is, it has to have some fun and some humor.
Yeah.
You know, when I was younger and I started growth, the first spiritual workshop I went to, I remember thinking, you know, if there's no fun, if nobody has a sense of humor, then I'd rather not grow. I mean, if there's no humor in heaven, what good is going? So that's a big part for me as well. And this is the third part, the connection with nature.
Yeah.
That's always changing, it's never the same. And at the same time, the beauty here is peaceful. It makes you relax. And yet it's also exciting. It's a paradox to me, but the beauty makes me want to run up this hill. It also makes me want to sit still and just take it all in.
Very well said.
Here we go.
What's your favorite one though?
My favorite hike.
Yeah.
Depends. Usually the one I'm on. Today,
In the present moment, huh?
it's always like.
And this is
This must be
interesting.
the back, yeah. So these are the Arizona cypress trees, and they have adapted over not just centuries but millennia to this dry terrain. They're originally from places that are wetter, where they lived for a long time, and yet here now they're very drought resistant, and that's important for trees. We had a drought that ended a few years ago that lasted at least 8 years, and the trees got a lot less water. The Arizona cypress trees are doing fine. They look like they're sick or like they're peeling. This is a natural part of their defense system to maintain their health. Okay, we're gonna go uphill. I want you to be careful if you're holding the camera, or maybe let me film you going up, because we're going up, up, up. Look at this beautiful agave.
Oh, where?
An agave.
Oh, those are not yuccas?
Agaves are members of the yucca family. The yucca is the most diverse plant family in the world. There are yuccas in many parts of the world. This particular kind of yucca is the agave, or a Paris agave. It's related to the blue agave, which we find further south in Mexico, which is what tequila comes from.
Oh, yeah.
And this one has very sharp points, of course, that native peoples would use the points around the stem leaves for a needle and thread. Geronimo, who lived further to the south, would take the needle and pull the thread off and wrap it around his finger, so he had an instant patch kit for his moccasins. Inside the stem leaves, there's poison, but if you roast it for at least 6 to 7 hours, it becomes deliciously sweet. I have it with my oatmeal every morning. It's called agave nectar. You can find it in the health food store, and it's good for you because it's very sweet, so you don't need a lot of it. It's easier to pour than honey, but best of all, it has a low glycemic index, so it doesn't shoot your blood sugar up.
That's what you put in your miam miam, Natalie.
Yeah. No, not the miam, but
The cha.
that's what I use in my tea, yes.
Yeah.
Amy, I use yucca for cooking.
Oh,
Yucca
yeah.
root.
Xavier is a wonderful chef.
And yucca root is good, fried or
Boiled too?
like a
Ooh, we're gonna climb.
string fries.
This is exciting. Let's climb here. Wow. It might be a little bit more windy for the microphone, and I apologize in advance. I love these shoes. They really get a good grip.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're on the submarine.
We're almost up the periscope here.
Oh,
Okay, time to use your hands or hand me the camera. Or get a running start.
Yoo-hoo! Thank you. All right. Whew, we can feel the altitude a little bit too.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Thank you.
Some footsteps in the side.
Yeah. We're climbing, guys. Isn't this cool? I know you'll want to come to Sedona now. This is a treat. This is juicy. Whew. I can feel my breath. Ooh. Yes. Is this a vortex too?
You know, I think it's a very sacred spot. I don't think there's any 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 spots where there's an X that marks it. I like it because it feels so open here. But because it's well known, there can be some days where it's more crowded on the trail here. And it's close to town as well. But on a day like today, you can't beat it. You can see how much sky there is. And you can see lots of formations out there. That's Thunder Mountain that we're looking at across from us. And that ridge there, behind it in the background to the left is Bear Mountain. Coffee Pot Rock is hard to see, but it's out there. These are places we showed you when we talked about the sunset in Sedona. And as you come around to the right, in the background you can see our tallest formation, Wilson Mountain, about 7,122 feet. And it's got that lava ledge on top because of an ancient volcano that erupted there. The Snoopy Formation is down in front of it in the red rock, a little hard to make out, but you can see his profile.
Yeah.
And beautiful red rocks and blonde sandstone all the way around us here. It's another great 360.
There's too much wind, so I'll just turn off the